again is I know how many of you are. I really do. I see it at the airport, and I don't want to say anything to embarrass anyone like Clayton. So I know how many days that the alarm's gone off. You look at your watch, you realize you still have plenty of time, 45 minutes to get to the airport. So you look around on the floor and you find, the shirt that has the least wrinkles and some shorts, and you kind of sniff the shirt, it smells okay. Throw on some sandals, some flip-flops, and head to the airport, get through TSA, those fine people at TSA to look you over and make your flight and sit down in the comfort of your middle row seat. And so the concept of putting on a tie or a jacket or a dress or suit in an airport or a business meeting or a Zoom, heaven forbid, is something that seems anachronistic. And so, but it is true. It is still true that human beings are social creatures, and like it or not, people form their impressions of us based on communication, and communication takes a variety of forms, and one of them is how we look. Some of how we look is out of our control. I've now got gray hair, and can't do anything about it. But some of it is within our control, and our choices also are a form of communication. And so many of you are at that point in your career, and I'm still at that point in my career where I have to impress people. It's really important that I impress judges and lawyers and executives. And so the way I do that many times is what I choose to put on. But I don't know all this stuff. I know a lot about law. I don't know very much at all about clothing and color and material and fabric and styles and things like that. But here tonight we have two people who do. There's a company called Tom James, and you need to become familiar with this as you make your way through your career. It's a great place to buy clothing. It's where I get all my suits, and they're tailor-made, and the person who works with me comes to my office or my house and takes measurements, and I pick out what I want. And yes, I pay a little bit more, but I keep these suits, jackets forever. So it's probably more cost effective than what I buy from Dillard's in the days when I didn't have any money. So the Tom James was started a number of years ago by a company called, as an outgrowth of a company called Southwestern Publishing. Southwestern Publishing is a famous company that sells books and Bibles door to door. That started after the Civil War, and I had the honor of selling for 4 years while I was at Texas A&M. That's how I paid for much of my education, selling Bibles, children's books, and medical books door to door. And you just don't know what hard is until you do that.
True.
But it's great training, and if you can do that, you can do anything. And so tonight we have two people who know a lot about clothing, a lot about style, but practical stuff that is actually something that you can learn. So regardless of what you decide to do, you will learn something tonight about communication, your appearance. Let me introduce our guests. First, we have Hannah Harris. She is the grand old age of 25 years old and a native Texan from Lubbock, but mostly Wills Point, a fine place, fine suburb. And she says she went to Tarleton State University, studied communications with public relations and event management. And before Tom James, she was an event coordinator. We have an event coordinator among our group. She's not with us tonight. In member services at Pecan Plantation Country Club in Granbury. So she says that she has been in her current role as an image consultant and clothier since December 2021, so fairly new. But she's been in the people business since her first internship at college and has loved developing relationships with clients. And that's what this is all about. It's about building relationships when it comes down to it. And with her is Christian Jensen. Christian is 29 years old, from Virginia originally. Traveled around, grew up in Virginia, Pennsylvania, Florida, and Texas. And his mother is in Baton Rouge. His father is in Lumberton, New Jersey. So we went back and forth, I presume. And he did schooling at Baton Rouge, and then attended Louisiana State, the Tigers, LSU, where he studied political science and business administration. And so his career, he says, has been dedicated to hospitality and consumer service and luxury goods. And he had the interesting job which may be appropriate to some of our members of our group of high interest, maybe more interest. He was, prior to Tom James, he worked in Las Vegas at the Waldorf Astoria as the bartender while studying to be a wine sommelier through the Court of Master Sommeliers. So before coming to Tom James. So if you don't get into the close aspect, ask him some booze questions. I'm sure he can give you some good tips there.
You can.
All right. How'd I do, Leda?
Perfect.
Outstanding. All right.
Well, everyone, we've put together just a little small presentation for you. If I were on, a call around 6 p.m. the day after Labor Day, I'd kind of want it short and sweet. So just a few slides for you here. But one thing that we like to do almost every single morning when we show up at the office, we kind of have a small little group meeting of clothiers, and we always start off with some gratitude for the day, just kind of entering our day with a grateful heart. And Hannah and I just wanted to extend our sincere gratitude for letting us be able to be storytellers for you, give this presentation for you, and just allow us to kind of, explain a little bit more about who we are and what kind of, James kind of delved into it a little bit, what an interesting type of job that we have day to day. So thank you all for that. We will have, at the end, we'll have some Q&A type stuff. So if you have any questions, just jot them down and we'll get to that at the end. So with that, we will hop in here. Let's get a screen share going. There we are. Okay, so as James said, we work for a company called Tom James. Now, many people ask us who was or who is Tom James? Well, Tom James, unfortunately, is not a real person. Just a name that is associated with us. But people ask us that all the time. It's kind of hilarious. I can see some of you. Who here has ever heard? You're going in for that job interview, and it only takes 6 or 7 seconds to make a first impression. Anyone heard that before? Absolutely. And what I find very interesting about that is almost every single person that I've ever spoken to in my entire life knows that statistic from Forbes. But what's also interesting is how it seems like after that job interview is over, that sentiment doesn't correlate throughout a lot of the rest of our lives. We're gonna kind of tie this theme into dressing for impact, not necessarily with the flashiest clothes throughout the presentation, but just kind of this is going to be our overarching theme that we're going to be presenting to you. So why would you listen to us in the first place? So just to show you, I started out with spectacular style. I had fantastic sleeve length. Look at this button position way up here. I mean, this guy, I would listen to this guy over this guy for sure. No, we've definitely, we've come a long way. And part of our training here at Tom James is before we can ever go out and see a single client on our own, kind of do a demonstration or anything like that, we're going to go through 12 weeks of extensive training that goes even further. It actually ends up being about a 2-year training process. So every single morning for the past 10 months, Hannah and I have learned about fabrics, learned about complementing, contradictory, colors, seasons, all kinds of things like that. A little bit more just about me personally. James kind of hit on this. Was I did, Hannah and I both sold books door to door. This is a little bit better. We're actually, in people's offices, like James was mentioning. And yes, I was a wine sommelier in Las Vegas pre-pandemic. So I have had a lot of experience in hospitality and luxury goods. That the hospitality industry was just the way that I ended up paying my way through my schooling to, finish up. And I wanted to pursue that as a wine sommelier. So this is a little bit of the same thing with just a slightly different application. So that's a little bit more about me. I'm actually going to pass it over to Hannah now so she can do a little bit more of an introduction on herself.
Absolutely. I don't have a before and now, back then dressing horribly, and now I always look this good. That's a joke. So I sold books for 2 summers, and I was originally on the path of going into some kind of sports medicine field. But after selling books, I was like, I love the people business. I just want to be in front of people, whatever that looks like. So I finished up my degree in communications with an emphasis in public relations, which was my passion, and event management. And so after graduation, got an excellent position running events and member services for a country club in Granbury, which is very large. I had over 10,000 members under me, which was crazy. And obviously through the pandemic, events were not happening. So kind of made the transition, but staying very much within my, I want to be in the people business. And it's really cool now because clothing happens to be the vehicle, but the relationships that are forming and just being in this position so far, I can talk about clothing all day. And I get to meet some really cool people. So with that being said, that's a little bit about us, but to kind of give a little bit more insight into who Tom James is, I like to just share some fun facts about the company and just kind of who we are, give some credibility so y'all don't think we're making clothing in the back of our cars.
In a van down by the river.
So as James mentioned, Tom James has been around a while. So we are 56 years old. We look great for that age. It started off as a single store in Nashville. And over the past 56 years, we've opened up over 100 locations. So think of any major city in the United States, and we probably have a sales force there, which is really awesome. Originally, it was men's suits, and that was kind of the bread and butter there for a really, really long time. So our company knows everything there is to know about bespoke men's clothing. But over the last decade, we've started transitioning into something that is, I think, a little bit more applicable to today's times. So we've gotten into some really casual clothing and then totally opened up a market for custom women's clothing, which I have a huge passion for. But a little bit more about Tom James is we are actually vertically integrated. So we always joke we are from sheep to shoulder. So we own the farms that have the sheep, we own the textile mills, and we own the garment facilities. So we have a ton of control and knowledge over the whole process of what it takes to make clothing, but also we kind of get to set the trends for colors and textures, and we just kind of have like our hand on the pulse of clothing and kind of what's coming in, what's going out, and Christian and I get to be very up to date about all of that, which is really exciting.
Now, there are going to be some questions, that you're going to want to just, I guess, conceptually, process. And this could be, what image are you looking to portray? Now, this could be socially, this could be professionally, this could be personally. It really just depends on what avenue you're really putting that in your mind.
Absolutely. And the first thing that I like to ask people when I sit down with them is, and I appreciate James for bringing in the whole communication and, you have your nonverbals, but when you step into your closet and you're looking at the clothing that you have for vacation, the clothing that you have for, social events, the clothing that you have just for hanging out on the couch, the clothing that you have for work. If you were to rate that from like a scale of like 10 being everything is perfect, everything fits exactly how I like, I have everything I need, I could never add another garment and make it any more perfect. And 1 being, Hannah, I need to set it on fire and start completely fresh. I always try to gauge where we're at. And it's okay if you're at a 2, a 3, a 4, that's okay. And it's also okay if you're at like a 9, 9.5. I haven't met anyone yet that's at a perfect 10, but if you are, let me know, because I would like to take a stroll through your closet. Yeah. So just obviously ask yourself, like, where am I kind of at? What areas am I doing really well in? And what can I improve on? And then when you're thinking about shopping and you're thinking about adding to your collection, or you're thinking about the image that you're wanting to portray, ask yourself what matters. I mean, when you go to add to cart, is it getting the right fit? Is it getting a good quality? That's something that's going to last, or is it just, getting a certain look? I like this, so I buy it.
And then one of the things, another question on here is, what does, we hear the term business casual, which actually is a little bit of an annoying term just because it's technically an oxymoron, because there's really not business, you're looking for one or the other, but we all know what this term is. But what I think is important to identify with this question is, what does that mean to you? When we're speaking with prospective clients, we will ask them that question over the phone. Like, what is that, is business casual, a suit, but not a tie on? Or is that all the way down to, you're good with just a jacket, jeans, and cowboy boots? And of course, in Texas, you're going to get the spectrum of answers. So just also kind of have that, just circling around your mind in terms of some of the other questions that that Hannah was asking you. So I guess finally, the ultimate question is, why would I need to assess all these things? Why does that still matter? And what are some of the hesitations that Hannah and I encounter when trying to work through a full-scale wardrobe evaluation with some of the clients that we have? So one of the ones that we're going to get is, I don't want to be a flashy dresser, which we can absolutely appreciate that. But lucky for you, dressing for impact doesn't really have to do with owning a lot of exuberant clothing or a lot of designer labels or anything like that.
Right. And then the second one is, why, people are going to judge me or judge me based on the quality of my work over what I'm wearing or what I look like. And again, I can appreciate that too. But if we go back to the first slide that we shared, people are making a first impression on you in the first 7 seconds of meeting you. And needless to say, I agree. I think that you should be judged.
By the way, we agree with that.
Yeah, we agree.
You definitely
We
should
agree.
be judged on the quality of your work. However, yeah,
people are definitely going to judge you based on your appearance and at least make a first impression based on, are they put together? Do they look polished? Do they look effortless? Can I trust them to make decisions? Which is, again.
And it's just them using the information that they have at hand before they've learned, one iota of information about you. Another one is I hear this one a lot with insurance guys, stuff like that. If I dress better than my clients or colleagues, they will have trouble relating to me. And like I was just saying, we're here in Dallas. Some people dress up, some people, they love their jeans and, cowboy hats, and some, they enjoy that type of look. But honestly, if someone is about to pay you to do something, I think most people want you to actually look that part of what you're about to do. And I guess just to steal from one of our business partners, they can start right there. If you got onto an airplane and you saw a pilot and he had a press shirt and a good jacket on, he had his golden wings on, everything like that, and it was appropriate for what the information you're trying to garner about him, would you like to see that? Or would you like to see a guy show up who's in like sweatpants and a t-shirt? Which one are you going to have more confidence in actually flying that plane for you?
The other one that I hear a lot is that people will tell me, well, Hannah, I just don't care about what I wear or what I look like. And again, it shouldn't matter. But for me, and if I'm thinking about critical parts of business or networking or just, building relationships, polished, effortless, you don't have to look like $1 million, but you do need to be respectful. And it's a sign that you care. You wouldn't show up, as Christian mentioned, you wouldn't show up to a job interview in your PJs. You wouldn't show up to, the biggest client meeting or the biggest, case that you've ever had in something that you would wear to have a movie night. So it matters a little bit. And really it's just, you don't have to be in a 3-piece suit all the time, but
it's awesome if you are. It's a fun way to go about life, but
it's awesome if you are, but it's definitely something that is critical and crucial to have a good appearance.
Yeah. And now kind of the last two are really, coupled in together. I work from home. I don't really wear suits anymore. And honestly, the work from home, it's great. But unfortunately, we are trending away from that notion nowadays. It seems that we're still headed in that direction of people do need that physical interaction. And again, the entire point of our presentation is to suggest that we connect with what we wear, with what we're trying to accomplish for the day. And what's funny is Hannah and I right now, go back one. We're actually talking to a Rotary Club right now. And what I would assume, just to make an assumption, is that we're talking to a lot of, people who are trying to want to make good first impressions to potential customers, influence a jury, influence potential voters, set yourself apart from other people that also work within the same industry that you do, or even, lead an organization. So that's why we're trying to lead you down this path of dressing impactfully with the purpose of your short, midterm, and long-term goals. That all is kind of tied in together. So.
Yeah. And just to kind of give a little bit more insight into the I don't wear suits anymore, that's totally fine. I'm going to show a couple examples of kind of easy ways to still be a little bit more polished and a little casual and a little dressed down and still kind of have a wardrobe that has good staples in it. So,
we're gonna hop into the tips and tricks portion.
Tips and tricks
of our presentation. Hannah's gonna go first.
Yeah, and I'm going to talk mostly about women's clothing because that is what I am. Well, I'm an expert in men's clothing as well, but that is what I'm a little bit more passionate about. And so when I'm thinking about my wardrobe as a whole, if I look at my closet and I go back into the whole question of like, if you were to rate your closet on a scale from 1 to 10, if I were to look at a closet that was a 10, it would have the capsule wardrobe idea behind it. And what I mean by that is every single article of clothing can work with every other article of clothing that you own. This is the easiest and best way that my clients get a lot of benefit from working with me because we're building a wardrobe that they can buy 6 shirts, 6 pants, 3 dresses, and 3 jackets, and they have almost, an entire season worth of looks, if not longer, because they're different styles, different looks. The combinations are a little bit endless. And I always like to start with, I'm kind of a neutral gal myself. So I like to start with, the blacks and whites and sometimes navies and do little pops of color. But if I focus on my outfits kind of being in this capsule, if I were to do 3 different jackets and 3 different styles and have them all one color, and then I have matching skirts and pants to go with those jackets, I don't always have to have the jackets on, but I know that my shirts and my jackets and my pants are all going to kind of work in conjunction with each other. Same thing for if we're going to be dressing it up or dressing it down. I know that a lot of people that I work with, especially the ladies, they love wearing their jeans for work. They love wearing their jeans out. Jeans are very transitional, and I would say incorporate that. I always kind of, when I'm starting a capsule with a new client, I say, okay, pick your favorite neutral, pick your favorite pop of color, and let's build from there. And so I have some examples on the next page. The next page is going to have a ton of examples. This is not one capsule wardrobe, but it is going to be some really excellent kind of ideas. A lot of them are going to have jackets. A lot of them are going to have jeans. You don't always have to be wearing a jacket. Personally, I think that it's really easy to put on, take off, transition from work to kind of social time after work. So if you'll go ahead and so a couple key things that I wanted to touch on is the use of, good neutral basics on tops. A lot of white, cream, a lot of accessories that are the pops of color. And then, like I said, a ton of these looks have jeans. Not all of them have jackets, but when you're thinking about a capsule wardrobe, you can pick a color in the dresses, pick a color in the jackets, and you have over 15 outfits just from a few pieces. I think this is a really easy way to go. I don't like to think about getting ready in the morning. I just kind of want to pick something that's in my closet and be able to go. I'm still building my capsule wardrobe, to be completely honest. So once I get there, I won't have to really think about, you know, what am I going to wear and how am I going to look, because I know that all of my pieces are going to work together, which is probably the easiest thing you can do.
And then Hannah has a little bit more of a monumental task in explaining, you know, women's capsule design, stuff like that. Men, it's a little bit more simplistic. Bespoke tailoring goes back to, dates back to somewhere between the 12th and 14th century. So we've kind of had a standard, you know, militarization type look, but we're moving away from that. So some of my tips that I could just give generally right here is that really, to have incorporated jackets into your wardrobe can substantially dress up and dress down most of the outfits that you could present. Another one would be to have a good rotation of, now this doesn't have to be necessarily dress shirts, but if you are going to be in court or just, you know, wearing them a ton, 21 is a great number to shoot for. And
To start with.
to start with. And the reason being is because then you can always have one rotation to wear, one rotation that's basically going to the dry cleaner, and the final rotation be picked up to wear the next week. Another thing that I find it's just really funny with a lot of guys, when I'm like, are you a blues, blacks, grays kind of guy? And I mean, 90% of the people that I'm talking to, they're like, yeah, absolutely. And that's fine. If just left to our own devices, men, like I'm wearing a blue suit today. 60% of what's going to be in our wardrobe is going to have hues of blue in it. It's just something that's hard to get away from. But at the same time, don't be afraid to find some of your textured garments. Especially don't be afraid to go out and enjoy some earth tones, some taupe, some emerald, some olive. Those really bolster up a repertoire of, whether that be t-shirts and jeans, but it opens up a plethora of possibilities when you're kind of doing that interchangeably within the wardrobe. And then just a couple of additional details. I wanted to, when we hop back out of this, I want to show you something because James actually is a great example of this. Be cognizant of the way that your collar is. One of my biggest pet peeves is when collars hang, they're too big, or when you see people just wearing them about and they sit up right here. Gentlemen, just get yourself some collar stays and just really understand that, you know, some of the basic principles of wear a collar for the purpose of what you're trying to accomplish. If you have buttons on it, wear it more casually. If you don't, wear it more formally. And if you don't wear a tie, wear it with magnetic collar stays to actually keep them down. And then I guess just use the acronym, you know, KISS, keep it simple, stupid, in terms of just really start with your basic collections first. A good blue, a good gray, a good charcoal, you know, kind of continue on that path. And then wear suits that when you interchange your shirt, people don't realize that you're wearing the same suit. Some of the designs on this slide, you know, people will recognize that. So that's always good to aspire to, but really just kind of have your basic shells, almost in the same kind of capsule concept before you kind of move further along in your wardrobe process. So, any questions? We can actually exit out of this.
No.
Oh yeah.
No, we cannot.
Question, here we go.
Absolutely.
What about somebody who wants to save some money and say, just get the top half because the other half's not going to be seen on a Zoom call? Is that okay?
It's funny that you mentioned that. I have a few clients that their entire job is done on Zoom. And so every time I go to their house, they're always in one of the jackets that I've made them. But sometimes they'll be wearing something crazy like swim trunks, and that's fine. We can piecemeal together some wardrobe pieces. That's okay. But eventually you're still going to have to wear pants outside. So it's a good idea to have the rest of the outfit, because you're not going to be in your home for the rest of your life. But it is funny that you mentioned that.
I don't know if y'all can see the chat, but someone just pointed out that one of our members calls that the professional mullet. And I think that might be the most amazing thing I've ever heard in my life.
That's hilarious.
Let's see.
Oh, I have a question.
Yes.
Absolutely.
So I have a husband, and his common attire is jeans, hey dudes, and a polo. And I would love to see him more of an elevated look.
Okay.
Mhm.
And I try not to be the pushy, naggy wife. But do you have any ideas or suggestions of how to be like, hey, look at that guy, look at his outfit, it looks pretty good. I think you'll look good in it too.
Would you like to take that one?
Yeah, here's the thing. It's hilarious. He wears Hey Dudes outside of the office. So
Oh, I still wear civilian clothes. Yeah, like it's fine. But one thing that let me offer, what I would say is maybe try to subtly infer to him that the way that people may treat him out and about with just a slight investment and upgrade could make actually a tremendous difference. You're walking into a gas station as I was today is a completely different experience than if I were in my Hey Dudes, and everyone's experienced something like that. But it really does, it can kind of drive your entire, personification of what you're attempting to move into, or just, those are some of my tips for that, is maybe just dangle that carrot a little bit. But I'd also be curious what you think.
yeah, I would say just thinking about kind of the conversations I've been having with a lot of my my lady clients, and talking about stepping up the wardrobe game for the husbands. Christmas is around the corner. It's a really good time to get him some really nice jeans, maybe getting in some like Alan Edmond kind of shoes, some that are still casual but a little bit more polished. And then just kind of maybe giving him like subtle hints. But if you see somebody that's out, be like, I mean, I don't know. I'm the kind of person who would be like, wow, that guy is wearing what you should be wearing. Do better. But I'm also very direct. So
No, I think that's great.
And I would also
Christmas.
say if you ever catch, something where you can tell, if you've ever been in a store with someone and you notice that they notice something, you can kind of egg that process on as well, if you like.
Awesome. Thank you.
Of course.
absolutely.
I have, oh, nobody can hear me.
We can
No,
now.
I think we can.
Oh, now you can. Okay, great. I have 3 questions.
All right.
Great.
Okay, so the first question is, how important do you think the sort of seasonal rules with clothing is? So for example, I have a woman in my workplace who is significantly older than me and got very frustrated that I was wearing a linen jacket today because we are past Labor Day. And I just looked at her and was like, I will also wear white. Like, I'm just going to tell you now. So like, how important are those sort of what feel like very antiquated rules to me as a younger person in the workplace?
Almost
So-
archaic.
so-
you could say.
Yeah. So it's actually funny. The whole the actual background of Labor Day was that summertime is over and that the labor force would get back to work. And really it was kind of a traditionally like, old money or, people of wealth would be able to still go on vacations after Labor Day. And so it kind of became a tradition of like, oh, you can't wear white after Labor Day, you're working. I have clients that wear white pants year round. I wear white year round. I think linen is great. We're in Texas. It's still hot. There's not, I mean, yes, there's like a societal rule of thumb, but that is not actually the case.
You also have to adapt in the same way that human beings adapt to their environment. You have to do the same things. So I think that's fine as well.
Okay, great. Questions number 2 and 3 kind of go together. Yes, I love white pants also. So as a looking at the slide for the capsule for the more of the female wardrobe, right?
I go back.
No, you don't have to go back. But the majority of those women are very thin. So as someone who is not incredibly thin, it is tricky to try to imagine what those clothes or those styles would look like on me, because they're going to look different. And then also as someone who feels like their body weight and size fluctuates often, I struggle to want to invest money in clothes that I might only be able to wear for 3 months before my body shifts again. So with sort of this is the 2 and 3, body size and fashion, and then also finances and fluctuating body sizes. Do you guys have any tips or tricks for any of that?
Yes. Short answer is yes.
Okay.
Long answer is so that's like 90% of the reason why women work with me is because everything that we do is 100% custom, right? So I'm taking 25 to 40 individual measurements, and then our factories are putting something together from scratch. So any of the modeled garments that you saw on that slide, I myself being plus size, I would be able to wear any of those because the way that we create the garments is the most flattering to the person's individual measurements. Now, so that's my answer to the first part. The second part, with fluctuating weight, I would invest in some really good pieces that have like Lycra or any kind of stretch fabric in them. So a lot of the dresses that I do for ladies, I will do in some of the stretch fabrics we have. It makes them a little bit more casual on some fronts, but it's easy to dress up, dress down, and it's comfortable. I wouldn't want to invest in something that I could only wear when I'm like, summer skinny, and I wouldn't want to invest in something. But yeah, I mean, I think that this seasonal kind of pieces are fun to have, but I mean, I fluctuate in weight. A lot of women do. And I think that as long as it has like, the comfortability, some of the garments, if you invest money in them, are going to kind of be like a Tempur-Pedic mattress. Like it's going to be memory foam. The longer you wear it, the more it shapes to your body. That's just the truth about, kind of getting into the higher end fabrics and everything. So, starting out, I wouldn't say like you absolutely have to like throw everything out of your closet. Like do what works for you and what you have, but it's nice to invest in some staple pieces to kind of elevate your wardrobe overall.
Also, I think you could use that word invest psychologically as well. Of course, all of us fluctuate in weight, but once you have made an investment into a specific way that you're looking, you can almost use that to motivate. You'd be like, well, it would really behoove me now to continue to, you could almost use that as whether it be a motivator, but things come up in life, of course. But I also think that when I'm weighing decisions on myself, that's one thing I'm like, well, I can even go, we have tailors literally in the room right over there, and I could alter this garment, but I like it the way that it is. So that's one thing for me. It's just like, if I learn how to also stay at in a specific range, that also is a good, motivator for me to also be impactful in that other way with the dress and just kind of the overall persona that you'll bring in.
Yeah.
So it's kind of a piggyback question off of that a little bit. So do the last two kind of work together in that like tailoring things kind of goes hand in hand with it might fit you better / in other, I guess, weights? Because I think that's something that I don't know, maybe it's because fast fashion is a thing. Like I don't think 99% of people get things tailored anymore.
Yeah.
But I know like the handful of things that I have done, like it's night and day on how those pieces fit.
Right.
So is that kind of a baseline solution of sorts?
Yeah, I would say that for me, I mean, like just speaking of personal experience, I am short, and like I have to buy things that are fitting my curves, but they are always too long. I could go on with a list of 1,000 different, things that I would fix. And shopping off the rack has always proven to be difficult. And I don't think it really matters what body shape you are. Women's fashion you can buy a size 8 in 3 different stores and it be different sizes. So for me, I'm a huge, I will get anything tailored that I need to, just because I'm not going to wear it with confidence if it doesn't fit correctly. And I don't think it looks as polished. I wouldn't say that everything in my closet is tailored, but the things that are tailored, I wear a lot more. And I think it goes back to the investment. I mean, the things that I've spent the money to get tailored, I'm going to wear them more because I like how I look in them. I like how I feel in them. And the cost per wear goes down quite a bit.
Yep. And one thing I would say is you also seek out other avenues of life and people that you trust to provide a service for you, whether that be nails, hair, insurance, lawyer, all that kind of stuff. So that is also a nice thing to have, because the longer that you're going to work with your person, the more they're going to learn your preferences of things. You'll probably start running into the same problems over and over that they'll ultimately be able to baseline help you with. And that in turn will make you actually look forward to putting that garment on, as opposed to having a sense of, dread, or just like Hannah was saying, just that, having more of that confidence in terms of putting it on.
Do we have any more questions?
Or were some in the chat? Did we miss? Let's see.
We have one more slide. I just we can keep going with questions, but James sent us one of my favorite photos I've ever seen, and the man has style. What can I say?
So we had to let y'all know.
So we had to share this with y'all. So our contact information is here. Feel free to take a screenshot or jot it down. We can also put it in the chat if you would like. And we'll go ahead and exit this. And then we are.
Yeah, if anyone has any more questions.
Yes, a couple things, just for me. This is for those of you, this is a jacket I wear a lot. This is a double-breasted. I like double-breasted because I'm thin and it gives me a little more wide. I wear a lot of French cuffs stuff, so a pocket part gives a little bit of style. People remark on that and they remember. So this jacket, you haven't talked about money, and the folks in this, of course, this is a very wealthy Rotary Club. So, I mean, but you might want to comment about what it costs. This jacket is a plum, and it's got a pattern. I think I paid like $900 for it, so I pay more than I pay at Dillard's when they have their sale, which is where I used to get, but it fits, it really fits. And this is, let me show you this. This is another jacket, also double-breasted, but you see the use of color inside the lining, gold. This is green. You don't see very many suits, but it fits perfectly. And so it gives a nice a current. It makes me look, even though I'm a little older, I have to be cognizant, I'm now in my 60s, it gives me a more current look than a lot of attorneys I see who they wear stuff that they've had for 10 years, 15 years, and they do the same thing they did every day. It gets to be a habit. So it's a way of communicating in my profession. I'm current. I can beat every one of you, so hang with me. And
then one other comment that I'd like to make, if you're looking at James's jacket and you see his shoulders, he has a very, you wouldn't say he has a large degree of incline, but that is one of the benefits of actually having the investment into custom garments. Is I can see just from looking at these pictures that my shoulders are more sloped this way. And if I had that coat that James was built, it would literally be I would have a huge pocket right here. So it really is, the devil really is in the details of a lot of those things. So if you ever see, fabric pulling in a weird way, or you see, wrinkles back here, there's a lot of little subtle signs that it's just, if you're trying to achieve certain, looks, or that's kind of going into dressing for the impactfulness of it, those little things may not seem giant, but attention to detail, I think, is paramount in terms, that says a lot about what you're ultimately, the image that you're actually moving forward in. Same way if you pulled up to, a prospective new client and your car was either dirty or it had, old Whataburger bags in it and stuff like that. I think that all kind of works in synchronicity with each other about what, your day-to-day, kind of the decisions that you're making throughout the day.
Talk about money for a bit. What do people need to plan on spending?
Yeah, so I would say for our entry range kind of things is a great start. Great start.
Yeah.
I'm a huge proponent in, like, if you're gonna spend the money, it's okay to like grow with your wardrobe. And what I mean by that is, for our products, we carry 5 different distinct collections. And the first being, and every single one of them, being 100%, like I said, made to measure, custom, 25 points of measurement, made from scratch. The main difference when you get to the 5 different collections is twofold. The first being the quality of the fabric, and the second being the actual construction of them. So in our opening price point, if we're just talking suits, we're not talking, pants, blouses, that sort of thing. But if we're talking suits, our stuff usually starts about 1,000. There are some good discounts if you buy it as like an outfit. But the jacket being about 2/3 the cost and the pants being about 1/3 the cost. Now, our shirts kind of just depends if you're doing like a blouse or if you're doing like a dress shirt. Those typically are around the 170, 180 range starting out. And in this entry range, you're going to have something that is a little bit different from buying off the rack. Instead of it being something called a fused garment when it gets to actual jacket, if you were to buy from like Dillard's, Zara, if you're buying like ladies clothing, and Taylor, I'm speaking a lot more for the women, but anywhere that you get a jacket off the rack, you're going to have something called a fused garment. So through the actual lapel, the collar, and the actual guts of the garment, it has glue. So it's a fused garment. So after you wear it for a couple years, it's going to become rigid. It's not going to hold its shape after you take it to the cleaners too many times.
Also, if you get it pressed, that glue is going to literally melt on the inside of it.
And so a fused garment has several different issues, but just the main issue being that it's a heavier garment, especially for Texas weather, not as comfortable. In our entry range, we do something called a half canvas. And so we don't have any glue or anything in any of our garments. And so what we actually have is through the top half portion, it's woven horsehair fibers, which is really cool. So way lighter, way more comfortable, and it's not going to keep any kind of like odors overnight or anything. So you're taking it to the cleaners less. Now, as you move up into like our second and third kind of tier, the fabrics get nicer. The construction also changes a little bit. And so instead of a half canvas, it's fully canvas. This is kind of our second range is what I like to consider our workhorse. So you get a little bit nicer of a fabric, but they have a lot more durability to them. I think it's a better value just because it's going to last you a lot longer. Nothing to say that it's not going to last you a really long time on the entry range, but as you move into our third tier, this is where you get into your luxury kind of fabrics. So if you've ever heard of Holland and Sherry, they actually, that's us, it's just one of our brands, but
it's a very, very old wool mill in Scotland.
Peebles, Scotland is where
Yeah.
we make that fabric. And so it's very luxurious, very light to the touch, very supple, it just has a really nice hand to it. You get into some really cool colors and that sort of thing with Holland and Sherry. I think it's the best garment on the market. As you move into our last 2 collections, the sky's kind of the limit on price just because these are handmade collections. So they start about $3,000. And what's really cool about Ventura and Oxford, which is our last 2 collections, is they are literally made by hand in Chicago. So for Ventura, they are cut by machines in Perth Amboy, New Jersey, which is one of our facilities. And then we have master tailors in Chicago that do over 10,000 hand stitches. And so you have the softest, most comfortable garment that you could possibly imagine. And it just kind of depends on what fabric you choose. So, we have fabrics that are, $900 and we have fabrics that are 30 grand. So it just kind of depends.
So you can, just for easy. So level 1, you're going to look to spend right around $1,000 for an outfit. Level 2, it's going to be more around $1,600. Level 3, it's going to be around 23. to 2,500. Level 4, it's going to be somewhere in between 33 to about 3,600. Level 5, it's about 5,500 and up, kind of going through. But
Sky's the limit.
what you will own is something that very few people own ever. You can't get an American-made, fully hand bespoke garment anywhere else than Oxford Clothes in Chicago, Illinois, which is one of the brands that we do own. And it's just like drinking a really fine wine. You don't have words to describe it until it's something that you're actually wearing on your person. But even at an entry level, if you've never had a custom shirt or a custom blouse made specifically for you, even that is it puts a new frame on the way that you would look at clothing in general.
Yeah,
Can attest to that.
Yeah, I mean, I always say that once people have a custom shirt, they're spoiled rotten and they will not go back to off the rack.
Yeah, absolutely.
Exactly.
And most people think custom is just putting like a nice little, monogram or something on their shirt, but that's not the benefit of it. It's literally, it's made for how wide my shoulders are, the way that my waist, just a lot of different things that we could get into semantics of it, but it is really it's a very, I don't know, it's a very luxurious experience, even at the entry level.
So my good friend in college, he does something kind of similar to what you guys do. And so I bought several suits from him. He really helped me. But he told me something, can you attest if this is true, that if it doesn't fit in the shoulders, there's pretty much not good for you. You know what I mean? There's really no way you can really tailor it well. I don't know about for women, but for a man, if you were to buy a jacket, if it doesn't fit well in the shoulders, it's just not going to fit.
And a lot of that comes from the way that when you're looking at someone, I guess, this way, from this angle, the way that their head is pitched, the way that, the inclination or lack thereof of their shoulders, there's a lot of different things that go into it. But yeah, there's really no way to, just the way that a whole coat is constructed, there's not a great way in which you can take fabric out or move it around. It's just not in the way that's not a common, you have to take the whole jacket apart. And even after you do that, you might get a 1/4 inch of material to work with. That's not even that'll be negligible once you tailor it. So no, absolutely, Clayton. I think that's a completely true statement. Sorry.
Yeah. I'm a 36 short, so it's pretty difficult to find things. And you're talking about on the rack, I'm a 29 length. And every time I find a waist size, at like Dillard's or somewhere, the waistline is like 46. It's ridiculous.
Yep.
There are more pants out there that are 29 length and 46 waist than ever. It's like Danny DeVito must be all over.
Well, and I'll tell you something funny that I noticed as well. So I'm 5'10", 170 pounds. I am literally the average height and weight of just across, like, clothes should be made for me. Vanity sizes in stores should be made for me. And I still struggle it's still not a fun experience for me to try to have off the rack fittings to me. So it doesn't matter. Even if you're right in the middle, you fit in an airplane seat, you're exactly what the model's supposed to be made for. You still have trouble finding it.
So you're not alone.
Not alone.
Yeah. I'm at 29. I understand. It's not fun.
There you go.
Awesome. Well, thank y'all so much for your presentation. I know that we all really enjoyed that. Oh, my dog's sneezing. So I know that as a teacher, it's really important for me to have comfy clothes that are still look really nice, especially because I teach theater. And so it's really important. James, to close us out, would you like to introduce Matt to us real quick?
Yeah, I want to, Matt, turn on your video here so we can see your smiling, charming face. Oh my God. Oh, turn it off. Oh my God. Okay. I didn't know. No, I had the honor of meeting Matt when I was in Houston. I was bopping around the Houston Convention Center for Rotary. And of course, it's packed with crazy Rotarians. And so Matt is one of them. He's an experienced Rotarian, and he is moved from Arizona, I believe, to Fort Worth. And I explained to him that we have a dynamic, not your grandfather's Rotary Club, and he was intrigued by that. And because of the nature of our two-dimensional existence, a person can participate wherever they are. And so he's utterly welcome, and I expect to get his check soon so we can we can sign him up in our club. So Matt, tell us about yourself. What are you doing in Fort Worth now?
Sure. I actually work as a meteorologist. I work for the National Weather Service, but I'm not at the local office, the one that issues all the warnings. I work for our regional office in Fort Worth, and I actually head the science infusion and training program for the region. So I first joined Rotary in Key West. I lived in Key West for about 3 years, and I was in the Key West Sunrise Rotary. And then I moved to San Diego, and I joined the San Diego Downtown Breakfast Club. And I went with that club to the convention. The convention was a week before I moved. So it was like the last thing I did. And met James in one of the sessions, and I'm like, Tyler, wow. That was my first response. And I've been meaning to join, and I've been moving and just moved into my place like 3 weeks ago. So it's been total chaos, but it's really good to be here. And I'm hoping to find I'm trying to figure out what I'm going to do about Rotary here. I think I have till the end of the year to maintain my membership and find a new club. So that's kind of where I'm at right now.
Well, we want Hannah and Christian to join as well. We're gonna get money from them. So tell them, having belonged to several Rotary clubs, why should they become Rotarians?
So I mean, for me, I'm trying to think. So when I first joined, so in Key West, they had 3 clubs, which you would think this tiny place, like really, but they had divided up their clubs. Like one was the government one, which is the one I was in, where it was a lot of like city, state, county, federal officials, because they had a big federal presence down there. And that's, I'm federal. And I just got really into it. I mean, it was great networking. It was a great way to meet people, people from all different professions. You're not supposed to use it to grow your business, but inevitably what you find is the folks you meet want to do business with you. Obviously it doesn't apply to me, but for those that are like attorneys and in real estate, I know that can help a lot. And then when I went to San Diego, San Diego has like 60 clubs in it. So I was like, how am I going to figure this out? And I went to like 4 different ones, and it was just the vibe. I went to the club I joined, and I'm like, this is my group right here. And we did so many great outreach events. We had an all-day golf tournament that I would play hooky for. That was really fun, that we sponsored. And this year was the first time I went to the convention, and it was a pretty exciting time. So, and they've got fellowships for everything, whatever your interest is. And I think Rotary has this, and James, I mean, you all can correct me, but it has this reputation of being like, isn't that something my grandpa did 40 years ago or something? But there's a lot of young people in Rotary, and it's very dynamic. So that's my little sales pitch, whatever.
We appreciate it.
Yeah, we love a good sales pitch.
Well, and I was going to mention, I'm familiar with Rotary just because when I was in high school, I got to go to Camp Ryla as a junior, which was awesome. I know. So
Wait, where did you say you were from?
I grew up in Wills Point, Canton kind of area.
Did you go to our Ryla?
Do what?
Did you go, where was that 5830? I don't know if anyone else on the call knows.
Yeah, that's 5830.
That's what I thought.
Yeah.
I'm from
I
Van.
was like, Will's Point's in our district. You went to
Yeah,
our
so 80% of the people on this call are in this club because we went to that same Ryla.
Perfect. I love that.
They're going to want to know what your nickname was. They're about to ask.
It was Blue's Clues.
Amazing.
What
What year would that have been? Do you remember?
2014.
Yeah, most of us were there.
That one's like, I think I might remember.
I
Yeah.
know that name. Do you remember who your team leader was?
Oh my gosh, I would have to think about it.
Okay, that's okay.
But I don't know.
Most people don't spend as much time thinking about it as
This
we
is
do.
No, that's okay. No, that's okay. I just like I was Blue's Clues, and yeah, I loved Camp Ryla, so that's excellent. My one of my clients now is very involved in Rotary in Wills Point and Canton. Carrie Holland is his name. And so I shared with him when I was in his office a couple months ago, no, a couple weeks ago, that I would be speaking to y'all, and he was excited for me. So,
Yay.
and then Christian also has.
Yeah, so my father was just stepped down as the president of a Rotary Club in Moorestown, New Jersey. So very familiar. I've met some of those guys up there. I was up there during pandemic, so also have ties into it.
That's great. Y'all should join our club. We're a really nice group, quiet. Most of us are from Texas, laid back, East Texas. I'm from Van. You're from Wills Point.
I am.
I'm from Van. It's the same
It's the same.
mindset. There's some people from Sarah's from Red Oak. She's not on.
Okay.
Others from East Texas. So-
White Oak, the other oak.
White Oak. Excuse me, White Oak, not Red Oak. It's the other side.
Like, either way.
Yeah, it's a good club. Y'all should join. We're laid back, real easygoing, and we all love to serve, so and help out where we can.
Love it.
Yeah, so Rotary's motto is service above self. That is the best part of our club. As Matt mentioned, there's nothing better than, playing hooky for work to serve. And on that note, I'm not sure if all of y'all got the email or if it was just the club officers. I think everyone should have gotten it. But Rotary is sending a group down to Guatemala next month for, if y'all are, those of you who are on the call when we did a meeting with the Guatemala Literacy Project a couple months ago, I believe it's part of that. But they still have a few spots available if anyone is interested in doing that. So check your email. I think you should have information about that. If not, let me know and I can forward that along if anyone is interested in, like I said, playing hooky to go do some good work.
Awesome.
I totally just stole your segue there.
No, you're fine. All right. So just to close up, thank you again for informing us about all the options that we have out there. And Matt, it was nice to meet you. And I hope you think about joining, all three of you. I hope you think about joining our club. And so in the chat, Jane West has dropped the 4-way test. So if you all want to come off mute and we can repeat that together. Okay, so the 4-way test are the things you think, say, or do. First,
Is it the
is it
truth?
the truth? Second, is it
fair to all
concerned?
concerned?
third? Will it
Will
build
Goodwill and better friendships.
Friendships.
and fourth?
Will it be beneficial to all concerned?
All concerned.
I hope you have a great Tuesday and the rest of your week. I know we ran a little bit over, but we'll make up for it later. Have
Good week, everybody.
Bye. Thank you so much for having
y'all.
us.
Well, Matt.
See y'all. Thanks.
Matt. Thank you, Jacqueline. Bye, everybody.
Oh, okay. Thanks, Jacqueline. Appreciate it. Take care.